And we're live from New Image Brewing over in Arvada, California. I got Colorado. You guys know what I meant. Colorado. I'm here with Gavin. What was your last name? I'm sorry.
Gavin Estes.
Over one of the partners over here at New Image. So I wasn't here yesterday, and actually, like, the logo kind of got me. It was like, yeah, I want to talk to you guys a little bit. So I see like the wheat grain in the middle of it. Can you explain a little bit about?
Totally. Yeah. So, well, just to kind of start with one of our larger missions for the brewery is mental health, and so like the new image and the grain all fall into one like growth category. So it's kind of like each year that the grain grows, it grows back stronger. Nice. And so it's always like the ability to like be a stronger individual. From like early adolescence and then all the way through adulthood, we just change so many times and we morph into who we are, but we constantly become stronger and stronger with our own self.
Like that, okay.
Yeah, so that's the grain it's like the infinity grain. So just like the ability to always recreate yourself and like have a new image.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
So I want to know a little bit about the like origins of New Image. So I went a little bit last night. It was started out with like an engineering job at Anheuser-Busch.
Right.
And evolved from there. You guys were doing some work in Atlanta.
Right.
So what is the origins of New Image?
So Brandon Capps, he's like the founder and brewer. Okay. Essentially, when he was in engineering school at Georgia Tech, he ended up starting with an internship program at Anheuser-Busch. Okay. And so he was there for a couple of years working with a gentleman by the name of Danny Kahn. And Danny ran everything Anheuser-Busch. And then when Brandon decided that he was going to start home brewing, that's when like the passion for beer came with it. So engineering at Anheuser-Busch, but then started brewing while he was there.
Nice. Okay.
And then Danny Kahn mentored him and kind of pushed him through what it is to be like more like a production brewer, not just doing 5 gallons at a time.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool thing, Danny actually ran Sierra Nevada after that for like 4 years.
Okay.
So Danny's like a huge guy in the industry, just like a really cool mentor for Brandon.
Nice.
Yeah.
So one thing I saw too is like the charity event. I mean, not charity event, the charity you guys actually have too. So how did that come about? Like, what was the?
Yeah. So there's two. The first one that we really started working with was Jefferson Center for Mental Health.
Okay.
They're a Colorado organization that, I mean, they employ like 800 people, but it's all through like Medicaid and Medicare. So it's like it is a nonprofit organization. But they really have like a huge footprint in Colorado for helping people with mental issues. So and we started pretty small with just hosting some like charity events here with them. Like on Colorado Gives Day, it's like, they just try to like build money through donations. So we hosted that, and then now it's kind of evolved into an ongoing beer partnership where we have a beer that's called Better Together. And that beer, a portion of all the proceeds from every time we brew it go to JCMH, which is really neat. Because then it's not just like once a year we, send them a check for what is a donation, where it's like we constantly send them donations from each batch that we brew for them.
That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. Talk a little bit about like the flagship beers here too. So I know we were talking a little bit like the Fruitless was the one I had last night.
Yeah.
I thought this one was the New England. You guys have the
East Coast Transplant.
No, this was actually the Pay It Forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost thought it was coriander in here for a lot because it has like that like really like citrusy like fruit taste to it.
Sure.
So I want to talk a little bit about your favorite beers here.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely like a sessionable kind of guy. I like to have multiple beers throughout the day and not just like a couple big ones. Right. So I usually aim for some of our lower ABV beers. Actually, the one that I'm drinking right here, this is Single by Choice, which is a single hopped beer. And when we first started brewing the beer, we rotated the hops each time we brewed it. So we've done like Citra, Motueka, Asaca, Amarillo, Raquel, like, and a bunch of these hops, like, mainly just the Raquel that I just mentioned, we haven't ever brewed with before. So we keep the same grain bill and brew the beer the same that we always will, and we dry hop it the same, but switching out the hops each time. But then it keeps it at 5%. So it's been really cool for like, I think we've done 9 single by choice with different hop varietals that is like a really cool way to showcase the individual hop.
Nice.
If that makes sense. So we're not switching out anything except for
you're like keeping like the hop character to it while still like Yeah, I like
Like
that.
we did Centennial, and like that hop tastes like Fruity Pebbles. So it's like it's a really cool hop. And then for me too, it's like we tasted all these different hops, and then we started like blending them into other beers with like multiple hop selections.
Right.
And you can start individually tasting the hops that are in it.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a good education.
And that actually leads me to another thing we were talking about yesterday too. If you guys don't filter anything, like if you can tell, like most of their beers have like this like cloudy complexion to it, which is great. I love
Hazy
like,
would be like
the hazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. Like, so I'm gonna say like, because I know for instance like regular IPAs and stuff like that, usually they're more clear. Say like you're too hard to bells or something like that. So any particular reason why you guys don't filter them out?
I don't know, like more than just letting everything stay in the beer. I don't have like a real answer for that. That would be something more for the brewers to touch down on as a question. Like, but kind of going with that whole like New England style hazy dry hopped beer, like it's actually harder to keep the haze in the beer. Like period, like beers will fall out.
Right.
And so filtering it, I don't know.
I mean, I like it actually. It's definitely not a lot. I wish more people did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So you said you were originally from California, which is why I said California in the beginning, by the way.
Yeah.
So what made you want to settle down and like, because I know you're a partner here now too.
Yeah.
So what got you really here?
Well, it was a few different industries, honestly, before this that kind of led me to Colorado. I sold fine art in Vegas for 3.5 years.
Awesome.
We were in the Bellagio and Aria, Venetian, like high 5-figure, 6-figure artwork.
Nice.
And, like suit and tie. I'm a Cali skater punk, and like just, I don't know. I don't really feel like I'm an artist myself, but I don't really feel like that industry kept me like involved the way that I wanted it to.
Right.
And so I actually ended up doing like a 2-month, 3,800-mile solo road trip. And I drove from Vegas through Utah and out to Colorado. And I was like, I'm going to find a place that I want to call home. And then my search was super short. I like drove down old Wadsworth, which is like, one of the main thoroughfares to get you from like Denver up to Boulder.
Okay.
And I drove through Old Town Arvada, and I was like, dude, this is it. Like the energy here, and then, like you have that like sense of small community,
Right.
which is something that I was aiming for after coming from Vegas, where it's like you meet 100,000 people a year, and you don't remember, or you don't have the friendships that you're really aiming for. Like when I walk up and down these streets here, I like, oh, what up, Chris? Like you just know everybody in town, and that's what I was aiming for, and like having that real sense of community. And doing it through beer now too, which is super sweet.
I instantly came here yesterday. I fell in love with the environment already. So like just like the culture here, you can tell it's like really like chill and laid back.
Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking of too was like what separates you guys from, let's say, like the rest of Denver when the beer scene? Because I know there's a lot of competition out here with that.
There's a lot of competition, but there's a lot of collaboration as well. So, one thing like East Coast Transplant, we brewed that beer like about 2 months before we opened. It wasn't intended to be a flagship beer. It was just like a double IPA that was hazy and juicy.
Right.
And then people started catching on to that beer specifically, which kind of turned our whole portfolio into being like that hazy hoppy house.
Nice.
So hazy hoppy, and then like also sours. Our sour program is pretty cool, and we're doing more with like barrel aging them this year as well, and like rum and tequila barrels, and doing all of that as well. So it's like hazy hoppy sour. But as far as where it takes, like what it takes to stand out in Colorado is like it's highly competitive, But like what we've done is we've just honestly kept our head down and just keep doing what we want. And then the consumer base has like just grown and grown rather than like brewing beers for people's style.
Okay.
We're actually just brewing like what we want to drink.
You guys are kind of like making your own lane there, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, like we're real tight with like the Weldworks crew, our homies up in Frisco, Outer Range, and then Cerebral and Four Noses. Like there's a group of us that all just like love each other's products, and we work together as much as we can. I mean, we're like let them have 60 pounds of hops that they need to dry hop for their beer that day, and then they get it back to us, and like vice versa. Like it's constantly working together is like the main goal for like a lot of these breweries.
So let's talk a little bit about the double IPA releasing today.
Yeah. Also Paul. So Paul is the Vermont Pale Ale. It's 5%, and I don't know, it has just like a mild like cult following.
Okay.
Cult's not like the real word to use, but like people like lose it when they know that we're brewing that beer.
Oh, man. Okay.
And so it's a seasonal beer, and we brewed it 3 times this summer. And so it was like, where could we like take it next for this fall? Because we're gonna like discontinue till next year the pale ale. So we brought Paul back as a double IPA. So
Nice.
8.5%. It's a monster. Like again, moving back to like the beers I like to drink and the beers I want to drink. 8.5 is a big boy.
8.5 is a lot of
Yeah.
beer,
Yeah.
man. Especially if it's unfiltered too, so you get like taste like all the flavors from it. Which,
Yeah. Here, let me grab a can really quick.
Oh shit, yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
show everybody.
Cool. Shout out to everybody watching this right now. We're live from Arvada, Colorado.
So Paul's pretty cool. I don't know if you can see this. It's basically a random deer with sunglasses. Also Paul. Yeah, super fun deer. Label's even cooler. We got like t-shirts made and everything
Nice.
like early in the summer, but yeah.
So this is really. I like the can. I like the artwork for it.
Yeah, you want to taste it?
Yeah, man. Actually,
Open it up.
a quick question for do you guys distribute anywhere else? Besides,
Just Colorado.
Just Colorado.
And that's gonna be our main focus. Yeah, we have like a few like Tavor's, like an online beer ordering program where they ship beer to you, and like so we'll ship them beer, and then they have their user base that buys. But so outside of that, like we've been in discussions with some other states, but we're honestly like always trying to just make sure that we have enough beer for our own market, let alone like outside markets. So. I mean, sometimes it's pretty tough because we'll do like 300 cases around the East Coast on a Monday, and it's like totally sold out on Thursday.
Wow.
You know, and so like we're brewing so often just to try and maintain our 350 accounts in Colorado. Like adding a whole new state is like
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of logistics that go into stuff like
Yeah.
that because you have to. Yeah, because I know a friend of mine. He opened one up in Indiana. He's from Michigan, so he got the distribution license between the 2 states. Indiana doesn't really have that much of a beer scene, but Michigan does.
Totally.
It's gonna be can't wait for that.
yeah. I know it's crazy how many like breweries are actually out here in Colorado. It's like I think recently it was like 417.
I think it's like top 5 in the country or something like
Yeah.
that at least. Yeah.
It goes back and forth between us and California because like California has more breweries, but we're more concentrated, so like per capita.
Yeah. So then I think Oregon's up there too.
Yeah.
Michigan's up there. A couple other places.
Dude, people like craft beer.
It is. It's
Yeah.
like it's a ridiculous market. I've been trying to push it on people. Like this is the thing.
AB thought it was a fad.
Wow.
Guess it's really not, huh?
All right, yeah, let's try this thing.
Yeah, totally. Let me grab a glass.
Cool. Want to say hi to the camera real quick?
Yo, what's
What's
up?
up?
Getting them photos in.
Joe, you want to hop in for a sec? Sure. All right. Medium head, you can tell it's carbonated. I like this already. All right, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh yeah. You can like barely taste the 8% too. It's got like that right. So you can tell it's like very like medium like carbonated, kind of nice head to it. Still got that like hazy like state. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
It almost tastes like a New England.
Yeah. I know the whole New England, like Vermont, all of that. Like it's now just our house. We're gonna be moving away from calling things by the origin,
Right.
more than just calling it our version of a double IPA.
That way you kind of have like stand out a little bit. With
Yeah,
that.
I mean, when everything we do is all like that stuff, New England, Vermont, it's like now just IPA or pale ale or whatever it is. Actually, I think this is one of the first cans that we removed the actual like New England, Vermont.
Right.
So it just says double IPA.
I know like a lot of things in Michigan, they just came out. We have one called M43 by Old Nation.
Okay.
It's like the first like big New England that actually came from Michigan, and people just started losing their minds over it.
Right.
And then now that's becoming the style out there. So yeah, this is like I said, that's like what I'm starting to get used to a little bit more because this was not a thing like a couple years ago to like have it unfiltered like that.
Right. Yeah. Also, again, it was a fad. You know, people like everyone's honestly. I feel like most breweries are trying to brew that style of beer. You usually find one on most people's portfolios.
Oh, absolutely. Not special. I think wasn't in judging guy with the BJCP guidelines and stuff like that. They just added New England there like not too long ago.
Yeah,
because it's starting to catch on a lot more.
Well, and it's crazy because the BA is right here in Boulder.
Really?
Yeah. So like,
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So like they had seen it being like such a big impact into like portfolios on most like brewery programs, and so it was like 2 years in. Now it's part of the guidelines. You know.
Right.
We submitted Paul last year to GABF, and it made it through 2 rounds, even though it was hazy, which is kind of crazy because it's like almost like an automatic DQ in like the pale ale IPA.
It is, yeah.
But like,
it's supposed to be completely clear for like a pale ale. Like I see her in Nevada, what's the pale ale?
Yeah, Sierra Nevada pale ale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of my first beers I ever had.
Same.
My mouth is like so dry, and I was just like super dehydrated waking up the next day.
I love that beer just because that beer can pair with almost anything.
Yeah.
And actually, I forgot all about that actually. So I know you guys have like a whole like kind of like Spanish like Hispanic theme like in food wise. Do you guys do any food pairing or anything like that with beer?
We have. Yeah. There are certain beers that taste nice with like some of our food. You know, like I think honestly, like everything tastes pretty tasty with our beer and food.
Okay.
But as far as like hey, you have to have this taco with this beer, not so much. I mean, I feel like most people already have their own palates figured out for what they want to drink here.
Exactly.
So then it's just like, yeah, give me the nachos or give me the almost Euro taco.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. But talking about the food program, that's been like a ton of work for us here. We've had 2 executive chefs and 9 menus, and what we started off with wanting to do was having a tapas menu, like Spanish tapas.
Right.
And it just didn't really like take for our environment, like where we are in Colorado. So we kind of switched that and we went to like worldly culinary tacos, which in our like kind of thoughts is that is a tapa,
Right.
you know, because tapas are like full of like tons of flavors, small bites, and these tacos are that. You know, we have like a Thai fish taco, which is coconut marinated fish with panko and coconut shreddings fried with like pickled watermelon, radish, and kimchi on a tortilla. You know, so it's like kind of like.
You guys are like option like flour or wheat, or is it all like the same?
Yeah, well, it's actually so it's just panko.
Okay.
Yeah, panko's a good Japanese like bread. It's like breaded Japanese breading.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah. But so the food program's been pretty fun. It's nice. I mean, I like basically live here. So like I wanted a food menu that was gonna be something that I could eat every day and not feel guilty about.
There you go.
You know, like
there's a lot of vegan options on the menu.
Yeah,
I noticed that.
Healthy. I mean, you had that vegan chorizo bowl
the
yesterday.
vegan, oh, by the way, the vegan chorizo. I've never in my life imagined that vegan anything would come out of my mouth. It was actually really good. Just for the record.
I know, total carnivore crushed that dish. Like, and it's healthy. You know, it's just like cauliflower pearls and fried kale and.
Yeah, it was. I saw the kale. I'm like, oh my god, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect to eat it all like that, but it was good. Went back home and like for the rest of it, and it was did the job. It was good.
Yeah.
And how long have you been with doing this, by the way?
So we opened in March of 2016. I started here in January of 16. Honestly, started off as a server and then kind of worked my way through all of that to
Became a partner to this day.
get into this year. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
I think that's everything, really.
Cool.
All
Sweet.
right. Signing off. This is Z-Man Bates with Gavin.
Estes.
Got you. And you guys have a good one. Well, this will be up soon on my channel.